Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013. It's been 6 years and it's counting. In fact, some fans are really counting. Counting the days, the weeks, the years, especially having seen just how amazing Red Dead Redemption 2
Your Eyes on the City with me, Jessica Adams. Next up, it's a big day for justice. Convicted cop killer and international smuggling kingpin, Charles Jericho, faces sentencing later today.
Southbound on Golden Gate. We need EMTs. Head back up. We need backup now. Tanner, what's your 20?
Today is a good day. Today the feds are giving me a parade across town.
So, we straight?
On everything except the price.
We agreed on 20.
You mumble a little bit, Rufus.
25.
I'll let you know what the touch of a woman feels like. I'm asking 30. You got 30 more years in here. I'm asking 30 million. It's not a hard choice.
Fine.
Tanner, you copy? Tanner? Tanner, this is Tanner. I got him. Everybody back off.
I've driven the streets of 100 cities to catch criminals. But Jericho is a different beast. I've always sworn I'd drive to hell and back to take him down. Looks like I just got my chance.
I'm flying. I'm flying high like a bird. But my fluttering wings can keep you from pulling me down. Your mama says I'm a fool. And yeah, maybe that's true, 'cause I can't stop thinking about you.
And the game came out in April of 2008. Similarly, the first trailer for Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2011, and the game was released in 2013. It was not a short process of marketing these games, and if they dropped a trailer tomorrow, it probably wouldn't be out till 2021. And there's no indication they're dropping a trailer tomorrow either. On top of that, it's been years that Grand Theft Auto 5 has been out, and it's still consistently in the top 20 selling games in the United States. So it's still a cash cow when you don't even think about the Grand Theft Auto online revenue that it consistently generates, being it has the microtransactions. The point is, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a successful business model as it is right now, without investing any more money into it at all ever. They could just stop right now and continue to make tons and tons of money just off 5. It's estimated the game has made over $6 billion, and that's not gonna stop happening. So that's an obvious reason why they're not in any rush. On top of that, Red Dead Redemption 2 was amazing, and is doing the same thing in the Wild West. Now, frankly, all of this stuff paints a very rosy picture of the Grand Theft Auto empire and its status in 2019, but we also know that at some point they will make Grand Theft Auto 6, because why wouldn't they? As much as it continues to make money hand over foot, the time when a game makes the most money is its first year. And that goes for live service games as much as it does for traditional retail. There's actually another piece of interesting context when you consider they typically release around the time of the end of a console's life cycle. It kind of allows them to do a little bit of a double dip. You get that first year release on the so-called dying console, and then when everyone wants it back on the new console, you get kind of a simulated second first-year release, because everybody wants it on the new console where the graphics are better, the online services are better, the interface is better, it's just more convenient to use, etc., etc. And again, I think this paints a fairly rosy picture. The health of this series is good. Nothing is particularly awkward about its position right now, but it's just been a while. And that's leaving some fans to wonder, is there more under the surface? And as it turns out, there kind of is. Between 2001's Grand Theft Auto 3 and the more recent Grand Theft Auto 5, Leslie Benzies, a Scottish game designer, ran the show. According to Benzies himself, in September of 2014, Rockstar enticed him, his words, not mine, to take a sabbatical, which would start in September 2014 and end a year later, which, when he came back, he claims that he was no longer allowed to enter the Rockstar North office. There's an ongoing lawsuit regarding this where he's suing Rockstar for $150 million, which he claims are unpaid royalties, and is also developing his own games with some companies that he has started. Now, that lawsuit isn't really done, but it did suffer a bit of a setback when some of his claims were dismissed. However, he was ruled as entitled to some degree of back royalties. But beyond that, I don't really know exactly what happened, nor what is still happening. Still, it should be said that there is no doubt a hole left in his place that they'll probably be able to fill at some point. It's not as if there's a shortage of talented people in this world, but when somebody's been around that long and has been involved in so many of your most successful projects, in some ways the entire process is changed as a lot went through that person. Keeping in mind that neither Red Dead Redemption game had involvement from him, however, it should be obvious that there are people capable within the studio of directing a game. Dan Houser, Rockstar's resident head writer, has written or co-written pretty much every Grand Theft Auto game, as well as the 2 Red Dead Redemption games. He says something that makes me consider that it's even harder than just losing the main guy, saying it's really unclear what we would even do for Grand Theft Auto 6, and expressing that he was thankful to be releasing Red Dead Redemption 2 when they did, rather than Grand Theft Auto 6. Grand Theft Auto 6 is rooted much more in satire than Red Dead Redemption is. And he said the following: both intense liberal progression and intense conservatism are both very militant and very angry. It's scary, but it's also strange, and yet both of them seem to occasionally veer towards the absurd. It's hard to satirize for those reasons. Some of the stuff you see is straightforwardly beyond satire. It would be out of date within 2 minutes. Everything is changing so fast. He also talked about Red Dead Redemption 2 having to not be entirely historically accurate on account of how deeply unpleasant it would have been given how people were back then. When we consider these two comments together, we have to think of just how bizarre things must be in the eyes of another figure in the Grand Theft Auto machine that is very important. For him to say, I don't know, let's maybe do a cowboy story that we're gonna have to change a little because of slavery and horrific attitudes towards certain people. Like, I know it's not like physically worse now, but I guess I do understand why it's easier to tell a story about the past. We aren't there. Still, at this point, they're down a director and the writer doesn't know what to do. That's not exactly a recipe for a new game anytime soon, and the fact that Rockstar North doesn't have a Grand Theft Auto 6 listed on their website doesn't make me think that's going to change anytime in the immediate future. Long term, for sure, there definitely will be a Grand Theft Auto 6. Why wouldn't there be if they're literally still selling copies of it to the point where they're in the top 20 US games sold month on month every year since release? There's not really any legitimate reason to think Grand Theft Auto 6 wouldn't do the same thing unless it was very bad, and there's no real reason to think that when they finally do release one, it's just something they've churned out. Rockstar has not done that with a single one of its mainline titles, ever. Now, Leslie Benzies wasn't just the director of the Grand Theft Auto games, he was also the head of Rockstar North, and the art director for a pretty large number of Rockstar's games, became the new co-head along with Andrew Semple. There's also the fact that whatever the next Grand Theft Auto game is will require probably a similar situation to how Red Dead Redemption 2 was developed, which over time consolidated all of the studios under the Rockstar Games umbrella into one worldwide team, because damn, that is a big game. So at the moment, the real questions are, is that going to be the kind of effort put behind Grand Theft Auto 6? Who will direct? And when will we hear about it? Well, given it's been 6 years and honestly we don't have a real answer for any of those questions, I'm gonna go ahead and say that yes, I think Rockstar Games is taking too long with Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, does that mean I'm going to say, oh, they're in the wrong and they need to do something different? No, probably not. Too long is an opinion. It's my opinion, but I also kind of trust their judgment on this. While I'm certainly antsy for another Grand Theft Auto game, I have to imagine that they're going to want to pull off a process that yields something at least as good as Red Dead Redemption 2, which is, for all intents and purposes, one of the most interactive games of all time. If not the most, if we're specifically talking about at that scale. So between that and the fact that they're still raking in the cash for Grand Theft Auto 5, what's on your mind? And if you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is of course a subscription. So click subscribe and don't forget to click the notification.